Innovation is a word on every senior executive's mouth that I meet anywhere in the world. But the real question underneath the word is, what does it mean to innovate? And for employees who hear that word from the senior executives, they're trying to figure out, how precisely do I go about getting innovative ideas that actually make a difference? That was the question that Clayton Christensen at Harvard Business School, Jeff Dyer at the Wharton School in BYU, and I, Hal Gregersen, we were pursuing for the last decade. We started by looking at what are the most innovative companies in the world. And how we did that was we collaborated with Credit Suisse and Forbes magazine to build the most innovative companies in the world list that comes out each year. That list is based upon what we call an innovation premium, which is essentially the premium investors are willing to pay above and beyond the cash flows that are attributable to the existing products and services. So in other words, I will pay a 30, 40, 50, 70, or even 90% premium over what the existing products and services would justify, because I as an investor believe this company is going to be doing something very different in the future. New products, new services, new business models, new geographies, new, not for new sake, but new in a way that generates real value for the end user, for the customers, for the clients, and ultimately for the shareholders. So we scoured the world, we identified the top 100 companies, and we looked inside of those companies to figure out what makes them so innovative. What creates this innovation premium? We discovered three things at the very core. Number one, the people. The individuals from the top to the bottom of the company, they were innovators themselves. Number two, they had processes in place that enabled these people to be so innovative. And number three, they had a philosophy set and a culture in the company that drove the skills that generate ideas that create value. So with the people, what are the skills they count on to get ideas that are for new products, new services, new processes, or even new companies? Number one, they start by asking the right questions. These are people who challenge the status quo with their questions day in and day out. Stuart Brand, who started the Whole Earth Catalog, one of the innovators out of Silicon Valley, told us that every day he wakes up wondering how many things he's dead wrong about. So how many executives wake up like that in the morning? I happened to share this observation with Hasso Plattner, the founder of SAP, and he raised his hand and he said, I do. I'm the same way. I wake up every morning wondering, what am I going to be dead wrong about today? A.G. Lafley is the chairman of the board and the CEO now at Procter & Gamble, a global consumer products firm with products and services all over the world in hundreds of countries. What does A.G. Lafley do in the morning when he wakes up? He asks himself on Monday morning, what am I going to be curious about this week? Which is the positive twist on what am I dead wrong about? So when A.G. Lafley travels the world, he lands in a new place, he's first trying to figure out some questions, which are what's working, what's not, and why in this particular country or this region. When he leaves the airport, he goes into the supermarkets to make observations about the world around him. He literally will watch carefully what's going on, who's buying, what are their emotion level. But he has a fundamental single question that's driving what he sees in that space. The question is, are consumers delighted when they're buying our products in these supermarkets? He wants to see enjoyment, excitement, people being thrilled about buying their products. After he visits a few supermarkets, he then will go to homes. He will not go unannounced, but he ends up going in 4 or 5 homes to try to figure out the answers to the next more important question for him, and that is, are consumers delighted when they use our products? And this is the way in which A.G. Lafley uses questions about what's working, what's not, and why. Are people delighted when they buy? Are they delighted when they use? To fundamentally figure out the jobs to be done, the things people are hiring their products to do for them. Then A.G. Lafley will go to the corporate or regional headquarters in that area, and he'll have conversations with executives about those issues. And he will not be relying upon PowerPoint data or Excel spreadsheet data to have the conversation, though that might be helpful. But he'll also be relying upon his first-hand data that he's collected by observing the world around him, and it's been powerful with the questions that he cares about to get new ideas that matter for Procter & Gamble. Their innovation premium's been around 30% for a number of years, and it's been driven by A.G. Lafley at the top doing what I just said, combined with processes and cultures within Procter & Gamble that reinforce asking provocative questions, getting out of their office, and actually getting in the field and making some observations. Another skill beyond questioning and observing is networking for new ideas. And this is not a skill about trying to get a new job, trying to get a promotion, trying to get resources. This is networking to get a new perspective on something that's challenging and difficult in your work or in your company. So what these folks do, like Marc Benioff, the founder and CEO of Salesforce.com, they will intentionally seek out people who are not like them to get input and data about the issue they're trying to get an answer to. I was talking with Marc Benioff at the Davos meeting a couple of years ago for the World Economic Forum, and I asked Marc, how do you get your new ideas? And he gave me one single answer, one single word basically, which was listen. Now, Marc Benioff's as big as I am, as tall as I am, and he said one word, listen, and then he waited to see not if I was just listening with my ears, but if I was listening with my whole being, with my heart, with everything, if I was present and there. It's that kind of listening, talking to people who are not like us, that enables us to get ideas that change the world. So Marc Benioff, before he started Salesforce.com, had worked in a large-scale enterprise software selling firm. And he realized small and medium businesses don't have the resources to put that big enterprise software into their world. He took a sabbatical. He traveled. He spent a lot of time in India. He interviewed all sorts of people about their issues and their challenges at work. He talked with religious leaders, he talked with small, medium, and large-sized business owners, he talked with entrepreneurs, corporate executives, young people, old people, all sorts of individuals in order to get insights that led him ultimately to build the first cloud computing company, Salesforce.com. They've been at the top of our innovation premium list for the last 3 years with about a 73% premium. And Marc does that himself, but he also enables people throughout his entire system to do the same exact thing. Another key skill beyond, again, questioning the world, observing the world carefully like an anthropologist, networking to get new ideas, another key skill is actually being an experimenter. And what I mean by this is small, fast, and cheap experiments just to figure out if an idea might work. The CEO of Coinstar, this is a company that makes these machines that are placed inside of supermarkets. You bring your bottle of coins from home, you dump it into the machine at the supermarket. The machine gives you back a voucher that you can use in that store to buy food and other things. Tremendously successful business, but at some point their growth flattened out. They were trying to figure out what else could we do, and somebody had an idea. Why don't we give the gift cards for a variety of different stores, 15, 20 different stores, when people dump their coins into these machines. So they don't have to use their money just in one store. They can go to lots of different stores. Well, Coinstar has a culture where experimentation thrives. And what they did to test that idea, to experiment with it, was they got a great big cardboard box that used to be around a refrigerator. They put it outside of a supermarket in the parking lot. They put an employee inside of the box. They cut 2 holes in the box, put your coins in here, get your gift cards here. They put a sign on top saying, exchange your coin for gift cards. They had cameras rolling, pictures taken, people to interview the folks who came up. You bring up your coins, a hand would come out of the box, grab your coins, another hand would come out to give you your gift card. They discovered in 1 or 2 days this idea had traction. It could work. And it led them to build these machines that were in fact giving lots of gift cards instead of single vouchers, and it helped their growth trajectory to become even greater. Jeff Bezos at Amazon, another incredibly innovative company, high innovation premium. Jeff Bezos himself is all of the above. He asks provocative questions, he observes the world carefully, he talks to different people, and at the deep, rich core of Jeff Bezos is he is an experimenter at heart. He learned how to do this when he was young. He did it when he was a young kid going to his grandparents' farm in Texas in the United States. He would be with his grandpa or his grandma. The tractor would break down. The animals would get sick. They wouldn't call a veterinarian. They wouldn't call a mechanic. They would figure out the answer themselves. Now, when you're fixing a car or a tractor, rarely the first time does something work. And Bezos learned you just keep trying and trying and trying, and ultimately something will work. And that's the same logic he's used to get the idea for Amazon initially, to then move beyond books to selling all sorts of things in Amazon, to then move to the Kindle, which was not what they normally did, to then move to cloud computing, which is, again, was a completely different business. And they've been successful in all of those, but the experimentation is at the core of how they do it. Bezos told us, my job as a leader, to create an environment within this company where thousands, not hundreds, of experiments are going on. That's my job. That's what we do if you're at Amazon. So when people get out of their offices and when they innovate by actively questioning the world, observing it carefully, talking to different people, and then trying some things, small, fast, cheap experiments, this is the stuff that enables them to then get new ideas no one else has, and we call that associational thinking. It's thinking differently. It's connecting the unconnected. One of my daughters worked for Médecins Sans Frontières, Doctors Without Borders, and one of the fascinating things they did there was they connected the unconnected to get a new idea to solve the problem. They send physicians, medical professionals, into some of the hottest war zones on the face of the earth to help people. The trouble is, those places don't have hospitals. It's really difficult to do their work. They've been trying to figure out how could we do this better. And they ended up pulling in an idea from seeing inflatable big toys that kids play on at amusement parks. They thought, what if we built a hospital that was inflatable like that toy? They connected the unconnected. Well, over the course of months and a little over a year, they actually did it. They figured it out. And now you've got this palletized hospital, drop it into a space, blow up the balloons, and before you know it, you've got a fully functioning hospital that these medics can use to save people's lives. That's the kind of associational thinking that can make a difference. Now, these skills are not only valuable, and they're critical for getting new ideas. And the question some people often ask is, well, I know that Jeff Bezos at Amazon does that, or Steve Jobs at Apple did that, but I'm just not an innovator. That's not me. Well, guess what? Let's go back in time for a minute. Let's go back to when you and I were maybe 4 years old, and I don't care where we grew up in the world, whatever the culture, whatever the context. 4-year-olds everywhere, they ask thousands of questions, they observe the world carefully, they try just about anything, they talk to just about anybody, and they have the most creative ideas on the face of the earth. Now, that's what 4-year-olds always do. The question I have is, how many of us were once 4 years old? And the answer is we all were. If we could go back in time, we had these skills. Unfortunately, schools can strip them right out of us. In the U.S. school system, 4-year-olds ask thousands of questions at home. They go into a school, they get evaluated. Within 1, maybe 2 years, they're asking 1 question per hour per month in a classroom on average. They literally lose their capacity to ask questions. And in most educational contexts, they lose their interest in actively exploring the world with observing and networking and even experimenting with things. Most corporations do not do much better in building these skills. But here's what we know from our data. We've collected data from over 10,000 people around the world, professionals, executives, entrepreneurs, managers, technical professionals, and what the data tell us is that when anybody as an adult spends enough of their time and energy actively asking these provocative questions, out there observing the world, talking to different people, experimenting with a small, fast, cheap sort of logic, it enables them to get ideas that are valuable, and they make a difference. Speaking of making a difference, John Hunt, the Global Creative Director for TBWA, an advertising agency, he does all of the above. He would not have described himself as a creative necessarily when he was young, but he grew into it and he built these skills and he's become very good at it. He and his company know that the future of TBWA, a creative advertising agency, is getting creative people into it. They've actually joined up with Room 13. It's an organization started in Scotland by two 11-year-old girls who started taking pictures of the kids at school for the school pictures. The principal let them do it. They turned it into a small business. They had an adult photographer help them and mentor them. They turned a room into the Room 13 where other kids could come into the room and learn how to take photographs. They ran the room. The kids were the president, the treasurer, the operations manager for the particular room. And they ended up learning how to be great artists, but also how to be great business people. Well, TBWA was teamed up with Room 13 all over the world where they have offices to put these Room 13s in place. I visited a couple of them in South Africa, near the Johannesburg and Cape Town area. And it's amazing to see these Room 13 inside of these schools, inside of communities where crime is rampant, where the kids are in violent, very difficult situations. Those rooms were changing the lives of these kids. It was giving them confidence about their own future. It gave them capability to get ideas and to actually run a business. And somewhere down the road, it will also bring these young kids, as they become adults, into the TBWA system as great creatives going forward. So my task for you at HRC International at the meeting there is take these skills, get out of your office, make a difference in the professional work you're doing, stretch beyond that into the communities you're involved with, because these skills are the skills of the future, not just for the leaders in companies today, but for the children of the earth who need these skills to tackle the challenges that we cannot even imagine, but they will walk right into. Thank you.